Now, if you could chronicle heartbreaks and shattered dreams, they'd have Proteus' clashes, particularly against the Aussies, written all over it. The two sides have provided the sport with many memorable ties in World Cups particularly. It's not part of cricket folklore, reminding us that this is why we love sport. We love it for these matchups. Now, before we look ahead to the one tomorrow, let's quickly relive a few of the most iconic face-offs these two teams have given us. The very first time they met at the big stage was in 1992. South Africa, of course, ran riot there. And a very young Kepler Wessels was making his debut, and with that stamped his authority to take his team over the line. Thereafter, the two have met in matches that have been recounted time and time again. 1999, that was the famous one with Australia on the mat. Herschel Gibbs had scored 100 earlier, but boy, that form surely didn't replicate on the field. He dropped a sitter to give Steve Waugh a lease of life and gave birth to a line that we will never forget. You've just dropped the World Cup, mate. No words rang more true than that, and it would seem that South Africa carried the curse of those words across to the next time they faced each other, which was just 4 days later, in what many argue to be the greatest ODI ever played. The semi-final clash with just one run to win. The match was at a tie. The last two were at the crease, Lance Klusener and Alan Donald. And Donald is run out in the most dramatic of ways, getting Australia a seat in the final. 2007, Australia hands defeat to South Africa yet again in another semi-final. Even an inspirational A.B. de Villiers couldn't change the result. After generations of near misses, we are down to this battle here at Lucknow. And boy, does it promise to be an exciting one, because it's fresh faces, fresh setup completely. So let's build this up for you now. On one hand is Australia, coming on the back of a loss against India, a paltry target of 200 set, a dropped catch, and lots to rework heading into a stadium that most of them haven't even played on. One man in their ranks can still call this home, and that's Marcus Stoinis, who has seen this stadium inside out thanks to his stint with the Lucknow Super Giants. And with the way he's training in the nets, the match tomorrow, we'll see him coming back like he's announced. He's fitter, raring to go. South Africa. They're coming on the back of some red-hot form and having beaten Australia in the recently concluded ODI series prior to the World Cup. One man in their ranks for whom this will be a homecoming of sorts is Quinton de Kock. Unlike Aussies, though, they have played at the new Ikana Stadium last year, and one batter who has happy memories from that game was Heinrich Klaasen, whose half-century came in a winning cause. And I caught up with him with this maverick middle-order bat just some days ago. Listen in. I'm joined by someone very, very special in that South African lineup. He's a maverick middle-order bat, and I'm just so happy to have him on the show. Heinrich Klaasen, thank you so much for speaking to Firstpost here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited about it.
All right, the first question I have to ask, what do you feel about being a part of the World Cup team? How stoked were you when you learnt of that, and how excited are you about this?
Yes, I'm really excited, especially a World Cup in India. We've been traveling India quite a bit over the last 2 years. So really looking forward to what the crowd brings. I know they're always jam-packed and very loud, very supportive about a lot of individual players and teams. So really looking forward to that. And obviously a 50-over World Cup. I'm very blessed to be part of the squad, and it's going to be a good 2 months.
Right, but we have to speak about that knock of 174 that you executed against Australia recently. Take us through that. What is the one thing that sort of kept you going, and sort of sum up that innings for us?
I think just patience. It was a good wicket. I remember telling Aiden that it looks like a batting first wicket. I've seen those type of wickets before at Supersport Park. It just looks so good that you actually want to bat second with the history and stuff. But playing there a lot, I said to Aaron, this is a proper bat first wicket here today. And he just laughed. And then I remember myself and Rassie being very patient. They bowl extremely well in that middle phase. Yeah, so we just batted, and I know the ball just came off the bat nicely. And then Rassie said, okay, now it's time, let's go for it. And unfortunately, he went out in that over. And then Miller just brought the intensity by hitting that second ball for 6. And then I knew, okay, let's go. I've seen this before. I've played a lot of games there, and that feel in the air that the ball is traveling today. The wicket is extremely good, and it's just getting better and better as we bat. And then they just start losing their lengths and lines when we put the pressure on. And I just remember telling myself, like, try to hit every ball for 6 here. The ball is flying nicely. So when you commit up in the air, and it was one of those days everything just went my way, and there's innings that you dream about when you're in bed and wish to play those innings, and luckily it came off.
Right, and we enjoyed watching that as well, Heinrich, we did. But, you know, there's also another interesting sort of fact about you. In the last 1 year, if we compare all batters with more than 500 runs in ODIs alone, you are the one with the highest strike rate. Does that play on your mind, or is that something that you've sort of worked on, given the role in your lineup?
I won't say it's on my mind, but I know it takes a lot of pressure off you. Then you can afford to have an extra dot or a bad over here and there. If your striker is up, it's different. I reckon if you're striking at 140 and there's 2 good overs from their side. But if you run about 190 odd strike rate, that 1 or 2 bad overs doesn't put you too far behind the game. But also it reminds me of the intensity that I need to bring. Sometimes you can get into a phase where, okay, they're bowling well, so let's just soak up the pressure, but you lose your intensity as well. So if you can keep an eye on almost that, then you know what strike rate you normally go at, and if that will keep your intensity up.
Right, and you do have a great strike rate, 150. I failed to mention it. But moving on, just a couple of questions to sort of get to know a little bit more about you and your teammates. Who's your favorite batting partner? We know you've batted with quite a few of them.
At this moment, it's David Miller. Our record is quite good. We know our game very well, and he's normally a guy that at the start of my career kept me very calm and guided me through the process. And it's just incredible to bat with him.
Yeah, he's quite a fun-loving character, quite an integral part of a lot of IPL setups that he's been a part of as well. But just to round this off, if I had to ask you to give one word to describe the Proteas, what would that be?
Power.
All right, that was short and sweet, but thank you so much, Heinrich. It's been a pleasure, as always, speaking to you, and wishing you all the very best for the entire tournament.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's the dream of every cricketer, the ultimate glory. Few manage to keep their date with destiny, but for many, it's been heartbreaks and a cross to bear. The Holy Grail is here in India. I'm Rupha Ramani, and Firstpost brings you the ringside view. We bring you the Cup of Dreams, Cricket World Cup coverage like never before.